An investigation is underway into the deaths of Oscar-winning actor Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy Arakawa. The pair were found dead inside their home in New Mexico alongside one of their dogs. Authorities are treating the deaths as suspicious enough in nature to require a thorough investigation. They're believed to have been dead for some time before being found. The legendary actor and his wife were found in separate rooms of the property. A prescription bottle and scattered pills were found on the bathroom countertop near Ms Arakawa's body.
All right, Popeye's here. Get your hands on your heads. Get off the bar and get on the wall. What's mine?
In a career spanning 6 decades, Gene Hackman won 2 Oscars for his work on The French Connection and Clint Eastwood's western Unforgiven.
Look, Pop, I'm Buck Barrel. For the Barrel Boys!
He played Buck Barrow in the 1967 film Bonnie and Clyde and went on to star in more than 100 roles. They included supervillain Lex Luthor in the Superman movies and in Wes Anderson's film The Royal Tenenbaums. Hollywood legends are paying tribute to the actor. Director Francis Ford Coppola posted on social media, "The loss of a great artist always calls for both mourning and celebration. Gene Hackman, a great actor, inspiring and magnificent in his work and complexity. I mourn his loss and celebrate his existence and contribution." Actor Antonio Banderas wrote, "A very sad day for the cinema's family. Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy Arakawa have passed away. My deepest condolences to friends, family and cinema lovers." He's also being remembered by fans as a once-in-a-generation actor.
For me, he was definitely one of the all-time greats. I loved his films, and it's very upsetting to hear that news.
He was just a brilliant actor, did different roles, and he'll be sorely missed.
I always thought he was a funny presence on screen. Royal Tenenbaums was great. I love Wes Anderson movies, so that's probably the one that sticks out for me.
Bruce Isaacs is an Associate Professor of Film Studies at the University of Sydney and joins us now. Bruce, what's your reaction to the loss of a Hollywood great in what are unusual circumstances?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Incredible sadness, a deep sense that I think not just a huge part of Hollywood has kind of passed away, but such a huge figure in the entire history of cinema. And I think that aside from the circumstances, it's just me reflecting on how much Gene Hackman has meant to my own life, to be honest. I have a huge poster of The French Connection in my office, in my university faculty room. And so to try to encompass what this means to me in these roles and what Hackman meant for Hollywood cinema is just extraordinary.
Yeah, a huge effect, and we are celebrating his career. We know he found acting later than many, but he had some early success. What were his breakout roles?
Oh, he had a few things. He had been known around New York as a major actor. The big role for Hackman, people might know a film called Bonnie and Clyde from 1968. So the critical thing about Bonnie and Clyde is not just that he's an amazing performer in the film, but Bonnie and Clyde comes to usher in what a lot of people call the new American cinema. And this is just a revolution. And Hackman, from that moment, is the very start of that revolution of cinema in Hollywood.
1971, he won his first Oscar for The French Connection. Now, you say that was a movie of particular significance. Tell us why.
I think of all of the films that you could see from early Hollywood and then watching as Hollywood evolves, I would put The French Connection in like a handful, 2 or 3 or 4, that really define what the 70s would look like. I mean, just looking at the footage here as people are watching this, the gritty realism of New York. And look who the main guy is. This is not Robert Redford and it's not Warren Beatty. It's not the movie stardom. It's a character actor who you wouldn't expect to see leading the film. And that's what's so extraordinary. It goes on to win 5 Oscars. William Friedkin becomes Best Director, and he wins his first Best Actor award and makes Gene Hackman at the very forefront of Hollywood at that point.
You touched on it there, Bruce, but what you're saying is he's not a pin-up boy in the traditional sense.
No, and to be honest, he's often thought to be a character actor, but he was a lead character actor, which I've got to say, there may be 4 or 5 in the history of Hollywood who were leading movie men, but they happen to play complex characters. We don't see that in the studio system at all. And Hackman did it, a few years after French Connection, he made a movie called The Conversation, which is on screen right now, and I would say, again, is a definitive moment in the new Hollywood. He is that entire film. We spend 100 minutes with this one person who is so depressed and so stuck in his life, and it's maybe one of the great subtle performances of the 1970s.
Tell me about his acting style and his role choices over what was a very long career.
Yeah, I think his style is, I always think of Hackman as being this sort of stoic, laconic figure. He's not the person who, goes into great reams of dialogue. I see Hackman as he is in the character. He's extremely immersed in the character and in the space that he's in. So whether it's French Connection or The Conversation or the great achievement with Eastwood in The Unforgiven, which was his second Oscar, I see him as completely enveloped in that world that he's in. And I think that's because he didn't see himself as the star that had to control the movie. He was a sort of vessel for the movie.
You told us about some of the highlights for you of his career. Why are the Royal Tenenbaums? Why is that one so significant as well?
Yeah, I think it's a late era Hackman. There was a sense that Hackman was coming to the end of his career, and I love that he seems to almost play games with us as the audience, because he's in a Wes Anderson movie, which is completely quirky and absurdist, and we don't expect this stoic Hollywood star to find himself there, and yet he does. And as a Royal Tenenbaum, I would say, it's one of the great roles.
Now, Hackman clearly loved acting, but by all accounts, he didn't so much like the fame side of it. What do we know about that?
I mean, for the last 20 years, he's been slightly, well, I call it reclusive, but not in a pejorative sense. He just wanted his own private life, and he had moved into, an area well away from Hollywood. And he had the only public announcements he had ever made was that he didn't really want that world anymore. And to be honest, he was respected enormously for it. And he lived his private life with his wife for the last sort of 20 years of his life. And I find that incredibly moving and commendable, especially now at the point of his death.